President Trump, he said he'd shake up Washington and actually get things done for once in Washington. Why? By launching a shock and awe campaign against the status quo and against the establishment. Now, President Trump, he's only been in office for a little over 3 weeks, and here's a list of what he's accomplished so far. He ordered federal agencies to ease the burden of Obamacare. He's taken action to freeze new and pending regulations. He kept a promise. He withdrew the U.S. from TPP. He's instituted a federal government hiring freeze. He's banning U.S. non-government organizations from receiving federal funds to provide abortions abroad. He has signed 5 executive actions which advance the Keystone and Dakota Access pipelines. He's issued executive actions on the construction of a border wall, stripping money from sanctuary cities, all promises. He's taken executive action on extreme vetting, as you know. He's used executive action to rebuild the military. He's ordered a draft plan in 30 days to defeat ISIS. He's imposed a 5-year lobbying ban for administration officials. And a big promise, he nominated Judge Neil Gorsuch to the U.S. Supreme Court. And he's also set up task forces to fight drug cartels, reduce violent crime, and prevent attacks against police officers. In other words, President Trump gets it. He wants to move quickly. He wants to get things done. The question tonight is, where are the Republicans in Congress to help him? I don't know about you, but I have lived my entire life with a sense of urgency. And by the way, so does every single person that works on this TV show and on my radio show. In all the years that I've been broadcasting, I've only taken a handful of lunches. Who has time for lunch? And it's usually a meeting with my boss. 99% of the time, I eat lunch at my desk. And by the way, so does everybody that works on this show, because nobody has time. We're so busy working because we want to put the best show possible on the air every night. That's our job. And I'm sure for you, the American people, it's the same way. Because in the real world, you don't do your job and do it well, you're going to get fired. So how is it possible that President Trump, he's accomplished so much in such a short amount of time, and his so-called Republican allies in Congress have done nothing? Now, what's worse, well, is now congressional Republicans are now saying that a bill to deal with Obamacare may not be ready till the end of the year. And they're also saying instead of repealing and replacing it, many of them are now saying, well, we'll repeal and repair the disastrous health care law. You've got to be kidding me. Repair? For nearly 8 years, Republicans have been saying they were going to repeal and replace Obamacare, a solemn promise to you. And on top of making those promises, Republicans also repeatedly said that if you, the voters, if you give them the White House, the Senate, the House, they would abolish Obamacare once and for all. Well, guess what? You spineless, gutless, timid politicians have all three. They have the House, the Senate, and the White House. What's their excuse now? Now, you know what President Trump's plan is. He wants more competition, portability, erasing state lines, healthcare savings accounts, and I can recite his agenda, which we've all heard throughout the campaign since November the 8th, better than these Republicans can, and that's pretty pathetic. Now, they have had years to come up with a replacement, so you Republicans, why don't you have a consensus plan by this time? You know what? The American people are suffering. They voted for you to fix this disastrous healthcare system, and you should have had a plan in place. Then there's President Trump's tax plan, for example. Republicans are also dragging their feet on that. They're saying, well, they can't start on a bill until maybe the spring. Really? What the hell is taking you so long? President Trump is ready to act on his promise. And here, for example, is what he said earlier today.
Lowering the overall tax burden on American business is big league. That's coming along very well. We're way ahead of schedule, I believe, and we're going to be announcing something, I would say, over the next 2 or 3 weeks that will be phenomenal in terms of tax.
You see that? The president's working. He's ready to move quickly and pass his agenda. So why can't Republicans in the House and Senate get on board? Now, just like with health care, Trump's tax plan, it's simple. Lower the income taxes for middle-class Americans. Go from 7 brackets to 3 brackets. Reduce the corporate tax rate to 15%. Allow multinational corporations to repatriate trillions of dollars sitting overseas at a low rate of 10% so they build factories and manufacturing centers here in America. Delaying the tax cut, what does that mean? That means the odds of it actually getting passed are going down. And more importantly, it means delaying the much-needed economic recovery. Now, let me remind these inept Republicans what this election was all about. the forgotten men and women, the millions of Americans out of work, on food stamps, in poverty, who can't afford to buy a home. Delaying these tax cuts means delaying the ability for tens of millions of Americans to fulfill the promise of the American dream. The sooner you write and pass a tax bill means the sooner corporations, companies will be incentivized and have extra money to build those factories in places like Michigan, in places like Ohio and Pennsylvania, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to create jobs for Americans who desperately want to get back to work. Now, the concept is simple. But Republicans, why are you making it so difficult? Tonight, it's time to lay a marker in the sand. I'm putting the GOP on notice. No more excuses, no more explanations. Go to work, roll up your sleeves, and do your job. There's no excuse for not having a plan to repeal and replace Obamacare. There's no excuse for not having a tax cut plan. There's no excuse for not having a plan so we become energy independent, or a plan to reduce the size and influence of government. You have the House, you have the Senate, you have a president that wants to work, who's moving fast, which is everything you asked the American people for years. So it's time to stop worrying about yourselves. And it's time now to focus on the taxpayer. You know what? It's time for you to forget. I know we pay for your long lunches and your barbershop and your workout centers. Roll up your sleeves and go to work like every other American. We have a president now moving at the speed of light. Congress sitting around playing that bureaucratic political game while Rome is burning and the country continues its precipitous decline. President Trump is doing everything he can do to keep his promises. This is a monumental opportunity for the country. So my question is, why can't you members of Congress keep up? I've had it up to here. I've had it with all of you. All talk, no action, politicians, as Donald Trump said during the campaign. If you can't do your job, guess what? Go back to wherever the hell you came from, because the American people are sick and tired of inaction. They voted for change, and they want to shake up Washington. Do your job or go home.